Welcome back to the Lehocky Postgame show here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Our friend Mike Missinelli joins us right now. Eagles postgame right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel throughout the season. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, guys. Is it football season already?
I haven't seen Mike since our Super Bowl show. That was back in February, man.
No, it's been a long time. It's good to see you guys again. This was really an exercise in patience watching this game tonight, man. This was drawn out pretty long night. It was like watching a 3-hour movie.
An exercise of futility.
Yeah, but in a game like this, you look. I mean, at least I was looking at the guys that obviously aren't starters, or some are starters, but guys that are going to at least make a contribution. So from that standpoint. I thought obviously Nolan Smith made a contribution. Rashad Penny had a couple of good runs. These guys are going to be part of the mix. At the linebacker, Nakobe Dean, obviously after making a bonehead play, punched the ball loose. And Christian Ellis, I thought, played well in the linebacker spot. Yep. So aside from the injuries, you look at those kind of guys that are going to be part of the whole mix this year.
Mike, I'm curious to get your take on it. He didn't have as flashy as a game tonight, but where are you on Sidney Brown as far as maybe working his way into being a starting safety?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I like the way he plays. I like the attitude. Now, a guy like that is prone to get burned. He's so aggressive that NFL offensive coordinators might take advantage of that, and he's young, so he's going to make those kind of mistakes. But he's got fire. I like a guy like that. I mean, we all love Brian Dawkins here. He's got that kind of mentality. So yeah, he jumps off the page right away.
When I look at Sidney Brown, and I've said this before on shows, he reminds me a lot of Bob Sanders, who played for the Colts. Bob Sanders was a smaller safety, but man, Bob Sanders packed a wallop. The only problem with Sanders was he hit so hard he would hurt himself more times than not, than he would hurt the opposition. And I hope Sidney Brown is not like Sidney's plays with such reckless abandon, and he packs a wallop. He came up and made a hit tonight. There was a really good hit. That was the only play I can remember where he really stood out on a play tonight. And I'm thinking every time he hits me, I'm hoping, get up, man. Please get up. Please get up.
Yeah, I guess these guys are a little more physical and a little more physically fit than the guys he's used to popping in college.
Yeah,
but he looks pretty stout himself. I mean, he looks like he can make a hit and take some punishment. Yeah, I like it. He was a good selection for them. That was a pretty savvy pick.
You're the first person. Christian Ellis was definitely someone we were watching. Is definitely on our list tonight. I mean, there was one series where it was the Christian Ellis show. I mean, he was shedding blocks. He was making tackles. He broke up a pass. In 3 straight plays, he did all those things. But he is really, talking about guys that jump off the page. This guy's jumping off the field so far.
Yeah, when he broke up that pass, it was he stayed with that receiver and read the play, which was, to me, very important, that he showed a little savvy in reading that kind of play. Listen, this team is good. We all know they're good. So these preseason games are kind of painful to talk about and what you're looking for. And I know here's going to be the reaction that Tanner McKee should be the second string. And that's just not going to happen. They're not going to trust a rookie to be their backup. Now, Mariota does not look good. So I wonder if they're thinking in the front office and in the meetings tomorrow that they would have to upgrade with another veteran quarterback. I heard you guys mention Foles and Ryan. I don't think that's the way to go. But there's probably a veteran backup that they can acquire if they just don't like what they see with Mariota, and he hasn't really impressed that the first couple of games. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this week.
All right, let's take a look at the free agent quarterbacks out there. Let's see what we have here. You want Carson Wentz back?
No.
You want 38-year-old Joe Flacco?
No, I don't want that.
Do you want 36-year-old Chase Daniel?
No.
Do you want?
I'm talking about a guy, like a Kellen Mond type of guy. Like I thought he played well tonight. That guy. So a guy with like a few years of experience, not an older guy, but a guy with a few years of experience more than Tanner McKee. Maybe is where they have to go. And there are some quarterbacks out there on everybody's roster. I mean, everybody's carrying 4 quarterbacks, right? There's got to be a guy that they look at and say, okay, he's got a shot. But maybe they'll stick with Mariota. I don't know. They made a commitment to him. They're paying him a lot of money to be that backup. So and he fits. if they run read options, he's the guy that I'm more comfortable with than a big guy like Tanner McKee. So
right.
See what their thinking is.
The only problem is the way he's been throwing the ball. You better hope Mariota tucks and runs more so than throwing the ball up, because for whatever reason, he can't even get the ball down, man. Every time he releases the ball, it's sailing upward instead of coming down.
Yeah, he made a horrible throw to the sidelines.
Yeah,
and then he over the middle was horrible to Calcaterra. He was wide open on that play.
Goodness.
You can't have that's going to get picked off every single time. So I don't know what's up with him. Maybe he just doesn't like football anymore. Maybe his run in football was just a short period of time.
It's interesting you say that, Mike, because I thought it was very revealing in that show Quarterbacks on Netflix. And once he was deleted from a starting quarterback position down in Atlanta, he faded out of the show, and all of a sudden he was mysteriously disappeared from the team. And the scuttlebutt down in Atlanta is he really injured? Or, they were saying he was having some injury checked out. Is he really injured? Or people were like on the fence, like, that's Bush League if he just walked away from the team. So there was a lot of speculation about it. And I wonder if that still has a lingering effect on him coming here to Philadelphia.
Possible. It's possible he's lost his passion. His passion was at a height playing a system in college. And so the NFL really, he hasn't had a lot of success where he can develop, well, I really enjoy this game and I'm good at it. He looks like a sheepish kind of guy. And, you got to have, I don't know, you got to have some brass ones to play in this league. I think it would have helped him tonight had he run the ball a couple times and maybe, got some confidence that way and got out of the pocket and do what he does to get a first down or something. But he never really attempted to do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Away from the quarterback spot for a second, looking at the running backs, Kenny Gainwell barely had carries tonight, but he had carries. He was obviously tackled for a loss for a safety there, a breakdown on the offensive line. Just overall, not just in the preseason, but when the season actually starts, how do you see them deploying their running backs?
I like the running backs. I thought I didn't think Gainwell showed enough gumption to get out of that end zone on that play. That was a weird carry by him. But they seem to have all the bases covered with those four guys. Now, Trey Sermon, I put out a tweet saying we won't see him anymore after that fumble, and then he missed a block, but then he came back and scored a touchdown. So I don't know, they're probably not going to carry five, but I like the mix they have. I love DeAndre Swift and what he's going to be able to do. If Penny can do those type of things that he did tonight, that serves another need, and then you got Gainwell can flash a little bit, and Boston Scott is steady. So I'm okay with that whole with the contingent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out. You're not?
Yeah.
You're shaking your head. You're not.
People keep saying, who's the lead back? Who's the lead back? I don't think there is a so-called lead back in this offense. And that's a credit to the depth that this team has. I think it's going to be game and series situations. When they start to critique who they're playing, is this team susceptible to a running back who can run numerous wheel routes? Do they have an outside backer that can stay with backs in a wheel route? Are they susceptible more to being pounded on the inside, between the tackles? That's a Penny type game. That's also a Gainwell type game. If you're looking for, are they a little slow in lateral pursuit? Well, that's a Swift game. That's a Boston Scott game. And Trey Sermon fits in there. I don't. See, they're not keeping five running backs on an active roster. They kept Sermon last year, but they're not keeping five on the roster this year. They like their offensive linemen. I expect them to keep at least 10 offensive linemen on the roster this year, as they did last year. They like to have their abundance of D linemen for their rotation. One position is going to have to suffer. And the running back, when I say suffer, is not suffering. When you can go four deep, how many teams can go four deep in the NFL in terms of running backs? Not many.
I agree. And I think the game has changed a little bit where you don't really need the main guy. I mean, you got to keep those guys fresh anyway. So I like the way that they've approached this running back situation. Yeah. I have absolutely no problem. And getting DeAndre Swift is such a big get for me, because of the things that he can do. I mean, he can bust you and take it to the house for 50, but he's so good at coming out of the backfield catching passes. I think he's just perfect for them.
No, and I agree with you on Gainwell, by the way. I know the offensive line didn't look great on that safety, but it just looked like he kind of surrendered that play.
Yeah, the last thing you could do is get tackling end zone. I mean, at the very least, you got to be a missile and burrow forward just to get past that goal line and not get a safety. I thought it was a strange carry by him.
No, it certainly was. It was a rough one. Look, we talked about the safeties. We talked about Christian Ellis. Is there anyone else under the radar that has kind of stood out to you so far through the preseason?
Not really. I mean, Kelly Ringo is an interesting guy, and like he had such a horrible play to allow that reception where he had his back turned, but he's so intriguing as a player that they have to keep him. He's on that border where they have a lot of guys they have to keep back there, but I can't imagine they're going to cut him. I think they're going to keep him and try to develop him. He's a very interesting player.
Well, the thing about him was on that particular play, he was in position, but it was like he gave up on the play. He didn't see the ball. He didn't follow the ball. And I don't know if he lost it in the lights or what, but he didn't follow the ball. And the quarterback, Robinson, dropped it right in between him. And I can't remember who the safety was over the top coming over. And a receiver made the catch. And all of a sudden he looks up, oh, he made the catch, But those are the things that young players making that transition from the college ranks to the pros are going to go through. As part of the growing pains, he'll learn from that. I guarantee you the coaching staff will point those things out in the next film session with him. Yeah, because it wasn't bad coverage. You just had a fraction of a second where he lost containment.
Yeah, it was Brown that came over. It was Brown that came over late on that play. But you're absolutely right. That's the first thing I thought about. This is the NFL, son. You may be able to get away with that at a college ranks, but an NFL passer is going to drop that in, and you're not ready for it. So that's the kind of things he has to learn.
Now, I hate to tell you this right now, but Nick Sirianni in his press conference just said that Marcus Mariota is the backup quarterback.
I expected him to commit to the veteran backup quarterback. I just wondered if they're thinking that maybe they're dissatisfied with that kind of a veteran. I know it's not going to be Tanner McKee. It's funny because this is going to be the classic sports talk conversation like this week. Well, Tanner McKee's got to be the backup, and people don't realize that you just don't step into the NFL as a rookie from Stanford and become a backup and win games. And people expect you to win games if the starter's hurt. That's not going to happen.
I'll give the full context here. Nick Sirianni, when asked if rookie Tanner McKee has a chance to supplant Marcus Mariota as the Eagles' number 2 quarterback, Nick Sirianni says, "You're way too early on that. Marcus is our backup." So that's where we're at.
That's the knowledgeable football fan or looks at that and go, yeah, of course they can't overreact to a guy like Tanner McKee playing the second half against the Browns and anoint him and put him on a depth chart at 2.
Yeah. If Marcus Mariota's passion has left him, if that's gone, I do agree with you. There's going to be somebody else they're going to bring in. They're not going to rely on the rookie to be the backup.
No.
Yeah. Let me read between the lines in Sirianni's statement. Marcus Mariota is the backup today. That's today. He didn't say the season. He said today.
Let me ask you this: Would they reach out and try to make a trade for since he's not going to be the starter in Indianapolis, our old pal Gardner Minshew?
Oh, geez. Oh my goodness.
I possibly thinking about throwing them a draft pick to get Gardner Minshew.
I doubt that. I think Shane Steichen wants him there as his insurance policy because he knows that offense so well. Obviously, Minshew, when he was here last year, after he got the start, what did he say after the game? He goes, "I want to prove to people that I'm a starter in the National Football League." He had that decent game against the Dallas Cowboys, and he came out and said, "I want to prove to people I'm more than just a backup." Well, he's already had to concede defeat in Shane Steichen's offense in Indianapolis to a raw rookie in Anthony Richardson. So I think Steichen wants to keep him as that insurance policy because he can run Steichen's offense. Plain and simple.
Yeah, you're probably right. But maybe Gardner has realized it's not bad being a backup in the NFL. It's not bad. It's not a bad gig. At this stage of my life, I just have to accept it.
Hey, just ask Chase Daniel. That man's made a whole lot of money sitting on people's benches for how many years? He's 36 years old. What does his resume say? Habitual backup in the NFL. I'm rich. That's
You
how
never
bad
get
she
hit.
is.
You stay on the sideline. You put the headphones on. You consult with the offensive coordinator. It's a great life.
One of my favorite quotes ever, Chase Daniels saying to Drew Brees, "I'm here to take your job, bro." So entertaining. Mike, what's left? I mean, obviously we have one more preseason game to unfortunately watch, but we'll watch it. What anything else you want to see in this preseason, if anything?
I mean, are they going to play any starters in the third game? I mean, does the quarterback get a snap?
Let me ask you this.
I think the throw he had to the fan at the end of the game tonight is the only throw we're going to see him have in the preseason.
I agree.
So they won't play him at all. I mean, listen, I guess that's what they do now. There's a school of thought that you have to get some kind of snap. Maybe you don't. I don't know. So maybe they won't play anybody this preseason. I know they're a good team, so it doesn't matter to me whether they play or not. I'm ready to start the season. We'll get a general idea if they're ready for the season. They should be ready for that first game. I don't think they're playing a team that is that great, so they should get off to a good start. And this season comes down to that killer stretch of 6, and we'll see if they can win 12, 13 games with this team.
Yeah, see, the only teams that are really playing starters are teams that have new quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Houston, you look at Indianapolis, you look at Carolina. You may even see, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers play a couple of series in the Jets next game, because he's got a whole new collection of offensive linemen. He's got some of his favorite people that he brought in with Green Bay, but it's a whole new system. Got to get the timing down, so on and so forth. But outside of that, especially after watching 6 players go down, Jalen Hurts, you stay in the locker room. Last game, you stay in the locker room. I don't even want you on the sideline.
And that's probably the sound way to do it, D. I just think, there's also a school of thought, get a drive in there with your starters, get them just acclimated one drive. But you're probably right. They're probably not going to do that at all.
If I put my starters out there and the Jets are playing no more than the third and fourth string as guys who are going to be looking for work, and they're going to be overzealous trying to make plays, I'm not putting my franchise people out there. This game is dangerous enough, and we see across the league already, whether it's in training camp sessions or in preseason games, players are dropping like flies again, and the last thing I want is my $230 million quarterback to have some guy, Joe Blow, who's going to be out of the league in another week, trying to make a play and get himself a highlight reel he can show to his grandkids one day.
Yeah. It's almost like playing pickup basketball at the Y. There's always a guy that plays with the high elbows. You don't want to play against.
On that note, Mike, I do want to ask you this last thing. This last thing for me. What is Mike Missinelli's stance on, because they're not playing in the preseason? The big reason is because the practices nowadays mean more than the games. So what does Mike Missinelli make of the day and age in the NFL where you can win a practice, Mike? You can win a day at practice. How do you feel about that?
I can win a day? Probably, what, you talking about a fan can win a day?
No.
Or a team winning a practice.
The Eagles won day 2 of the joint practice session with the Browns. They lost day 1.
Yeah, I think that's good. I do. If it was up to me, I wouldn't play preseason games. So I guess I don't care that much that the starters play. I would just like to go right into the season because of the fear of injury. I know it's necessary to play it, but I think the joint practices, if they're really cranking it up, are good. And I guess that's a substitute for not playing your starters in a game anymore. It's safer. It's more controlled environment. So I mean, listen, I'm a progressive guy, Mark. I like progress. Like if the league is moving towards one way, I try to understand it and go, okay, it's changed. It's just like people like these old school baseball people who go, I don't like it. I don't like the ghost run. I go, well, why don't you like it? Well, I don't know, but I just don't like it.
Mike, I'm with you.
It's just progress. We evolve as a species.
Yeah, I now consider myself a non-practicing baseball traditionalist. I used to be all traditional with baseball, and now I embrace everything that's different.
Yeah, I don't want the robot out. Why not? Well, I don't know. Everything changes.
I'm with you, Mike. Always great catching up, man. We appreciate your insight into the game and who you're looking at and what we'll be looking at in the not too distant future once we get that season underway. I look forward to seeing you at Oceans in the upcoming football season.
I'm there right now. What if I wasn't at Ocean? I wouldn't have any fun tonight. Well, here I am. I'll see you guys football season.
All right, man.
See you, Mike. The great Mike Missinelli joining us right there. Our first guest of the evening. John McMullen will be joining us coming up in a little bit to let us know the rest of what Nick Sirianni had to say in his post-game press conference, as well as some information from the locker room, and if there's any more injury news regarding the Eagles and where we stand there. We'll continue our reaction to preseason game number 2 with the Eagles and the Browns coming up in a minute here on the JAKIB Media